This is the 2025 Starboard Futura. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown about some features and benefits and what it feels like to you riding on the water here on the balcony to start with. But most importantly, I'm going to head up there and take it for a bit of a test, take you on a classic ride-along session and tell you a little bit more about what I'm feeling, the sensations, and really what this board is all about. Here we go. Woo! And I am in love! This thing is so good! So the Futura fits into the free race category. So it's not full power slalom, it's not as soft and as forgiving as free ride, it's nicely in the middle of speed, agility, but also corners quite nicely. So I'm going to answer the questions along the way as to why you might pick this board over something like the Carve, which is more free riding, or the iSonic flat out speed, as well as giving you a bit of a rundown, a bit of some ideas about how this board fits together. So I weigh about 80 kilograms or so. I've chosen the 100-litre board just here. And in Vassiliki, where I windsurf more than any other place, even when it's choppy and really windy, this should suit me below 5 meters and all the way up to 7.6, which is my largest sail size. That'll do everything. And that's the cool thing about this board, is it has such a wide wind range. Some shapes, some ideas about what's going on then. First of all, it's got a double concave entry. Underneath the nose just here, it's kind of shaped like two little domes. That gets air under the board a little bit earlier, gets you planing nice and efficiently. As it comes back through the board, it turns into a classic V shape, meaning higher top speeds, stability at speeds, and most importantly, a nice smooth carve as you go around the corner. Other things, nearer the front, the rails underneath the board just here are a little bit softer than you might find with the iSonic, making it that little bit more forgiving, a little bit easier to enter in the corner. But the further back you go, the sharper and sharper those edges become, allowing higher top speed and earlier planing. Right at the back of the board, underneath the fin or around the fin and the tail area, is a double step cutaway. So the board has got these two very sharp steps, which allows water to release really quickly, again, higher top speed, and earlier planing. Very similar design, in fact, almost exactly the same DNA as you'll find in the iSonic from Starboard, which is the pure slalom speed board. Other little features is around the center of the deck just here has been slightly lowered. It's lowering the center of gravity, giving a more connected and stable feel into the water. Over the years of development, you'll notice boards like the Futura and the iSonic have got smaller and smaller mast tracks, giving you less options of where to put the mast foot or the UJ, depending on what you call it. Sounds like a negative, but the reason for that is it's so well balanced. There's absolutely no need to have it further forwards or further backwards. In fact, just 1 centimetre either side of the central position is enough to completely change the board. More about that, though, in another video. So why have I chosen the Futura over an iSonic? Now, an iSonic is pure speed, flat out slalom as fast as you possibly can go. Corners well, but it's very technical and very difficult to get round that corner. Your jives need to be pretty spot on if you're going to take it onto a slalom style board. The other option I could have chosen, and actually I have got another one of these boards, is a Starboard Carve. That's the freeride board. Very easy to get planing, very stable at speed, and it's the easiest board to get around a corner and maintain speed through those corners. The Futura is the nice balance of the two. It's very much like the speed of the iSonic. It's only slightly detuned. And what I mean by that is those rails that I mentioned earlier are slightly more rounded, making it stable, more forgiving, and easier to go around a corner. And in general, it gives a much more comfortable feel once you're planing. For me, that's the most important bit. It's more comfortable and it can last longer on the water without needing to hold on for dear life like I might need to on the Sonic. When you put these to the test, in water, in general freeride conditions, when you're not looking at speed strip and super glassy flat water, there won't be much difference in speed. In fact, only a few knots difference. A few knots top end speed for the forgiveness, stability, and most important, the comfort at speed. I'm going to pick the Futura 99% of the time. Those of you that have been with the channel for a while, you'll know that I quite like using cars as an analogy. Let's think of the iSonic as being a Formula One, fully tuned, fast as you possibly can go racing piece of equipment. That's what the iSonic is. The Futura is a Formula One with 4x4 all-round tyres, heated seats, power steering and an automatic gearbox. It still has the speed, but it's a lot more versatile, a lot more family friendly, a lot easier to handle. I can't drive a Formula One car, but if I make those changes to it, probably I can. The other sort of consideration when I'm using cars as an analogy, comparing this one to the Starboard Carve, which is featured elsewhere on this channel, make sure you look it out. I'm definitely going to do a very similar video explaining the Carve versus the Futura. But if we look at the Carve, and it's often bracketed as a slower board, it's not slow, it's just slow compared to these full power race boards. In fact, knowing a little bit about cars, not enough that I'm going to be featured on Top Gear, but I can throw in the analogy at you. I could look at the Starboard Carve as being a Ford Focus. Does everything really well. A nice bit of boot space, a nice bit of leg space, comfortable ride, and most importantly, when you put your foot down, it's got some gas, it's got something in it. You wouldn't think of that as being a slow car, but it's definitely not as fast as some sort of tuned up GT racing or Formula One car. It still has some kick, the Carve, just not anywhere near as much as the Futura, which is a lot faster. All of the Futura range come in the wood sandwich construction, a classic favourite from Starboard, and all of the Futuras come with a DW Drake slalom carbon fin ready to go. This is a 32. Probably for this board, I won't buy a second fin. I'm pretty happy with that board, and it'll cover everything I need in the areas that I'm going to be windsurfing. Footstraps positions, there's a few options for you. The simplest way of thinking footstraps is the further forward and inboard they are, the easier they are to get in and out of, and the lighter winds I can use them in. If I'm really starting to power up the board and go at max speed, I'm going to want them further out and further back. For me, riding a mixture of conditions, and to be honest, I can't be bothered with faffing and flapping and changing those footstraps around, I put them roughly midway each time. The way that we actually mount our footstraps on the board makes just as much difference as where you mount them. For example, a lot of the time I've seen these little grommets here being put on backwards or upside down or the wrong way round, and the footstrap twists within the bolt. Doesn't matter how much you tighten it up, you can't stop it twisting. Starboard have got a very simple and easy way to make sure that doesn't happen. Firstly, the bolt comes with a little washer with a few little teeth to grip into the footstraps. Make sure you attach them the right way round into the footstrap, and then use the little plastic grommet underneath the footstrap directly into the board. That'll stop any twist. You can tighten it up nice and tight, and then you get full connection and perfect response from the board when riding it. I think that's enough looking at the board on the land. Let's take it on the water and give you some first impressions of what this board really feels like. Woo! As you got from the intro just there, 100 Futura from Starboard 2025 model. And I am in love. This thing is so good. And I am in love. This thing is so good. It's super easy to get onto the plane. Like, it didn't take much wind, a bit of a bear away just then. Jump in the straps is my tip really for free race and slalom style boards. They need to get up and onto the go. If you hang around out the footstrap and far forward like you might do on a freeridey board or a bigger board, it just won't accelerate. So just then I literally just jumped in the straps, drove that power, and the board just goes pop, and away she goes. And it feels free, it feels light. You know, I can almost ride it like a wave board in terms of maneuverability and agility, or I just kind of stabilize, settle in, and lock it into a nice straight line blast like I am just now. There's not glassy flat water here, there's a fair bit of chop if I show you the view out the front coming through. It doesn't have to be, that's the cool thing about this one. In fact, this is one of the recommended boards for the Deafy wind, which is definitely not flat. I can't wait to get my opportunity to get out and be part of that one. But it's definitely not flat with that many windsurfers on the water. And that's the nice thing about this one, is it just absorbs the chop, it just bounces through them, it's easy. Woo! And when that wind hits, like it just did there, that extra burst of speed, let's go on a bit of a downwinder. Slightly lifting the heels, railing the board, whoa, there we go! It just keeps accelerating. this is not your classic intermediate board. This is a board for someone who wants fast, free race, slalom style, but you want to be on the water for longer sessions. That's the sort of board this is going for. If you're just learning to get in the straps and get the board going, this is not it. That's when you look at the Carve or one of the Go models, the Go Windsurf or the standard Go. If you can blast in the Footstraps, you want something fast, playful but aggressive at the same time, and something that will work in all conditions no matter how long you want to stay on the water. Like a bit less physical than trying to ride an isonic slalom board. This is the girl for you. Okay, so let's stall it there. This is what I mean. I've got just about enough wind to get going, I think. Only just, but it's not going because I'm out the straps. Jumped into both straps, a little bit of a pump, and it just takes off. That's what I mean about free racing technique being a little bit different. A little bit more difficult if you're not used to it, but for a standard high, intermediate, advanced windsurfer, that's quite a normal thing to do, really. Jump into the straps early and kick. Very, very similar on a freestyle board. And of course, the slalom board's exactly the same on the slalom board. Now I'm riding, I'm really trying to pinch it back upwind so I can have a good speed run in a moment. A lot of back foot pressure on that fin, and it's working well. It really just grips in, it's not spinning out in the slightest. Rake the rig back, absorb the chop. Now, confession, this isn't my first session on this board. I have been out a few times. Not all of these clips are from this session right now. Right now you've got two cameras and the mic, what I call the main reel. But I'm going to throw in some other clips just to give you some different angles and show you what this board's all about. And in those few sessions, I've adjusted the Footstraps a little bit. Just kind of been playing around, trying to work out where I wanted them. I've kind of settled into a slightly wide stance in terms of where the holes normally are. So I've got my back one all the way back in both back Footstraps. And then the front one is slightly further forward than all the way back. It's actually on the third hole forwards of 6. It's kind of 2 rows of 3. I'm in the back row, third one forward. And that wide stance, I quite like. It allows me to, in a lull, keep my body weight just that little bit further forwards, keep the board flat and ride through the lull. Then if it is a bit windy or if I'm going a bit broader, a bit deeper, I can really get on the back foot, utilize the lift in that nice stiff fin and do what I want to do with it. There's a lot of personal preference at this level when you're talking about Footstraps positions and what feels right for you compared to someone else. Might be drastically different things. And that's all good. I think that's the fun thing with it. It doesn't have to be the same one size fits all. If you are new to the channel, by the way, this is the Ridealong channel. Most of the sessions are filmed live and on board, like they are right now with me, using a mixture of usually Insta360 cameras. So there's 2 on board with me just now and a few other clips, generally attached in various different places, most commonly using the fly mounts. Audio is recorded slightly differently through a little microphone underneath my rash vest here. And in the description of this video, you'll find links to everything that I'm using, everything that I'm talking about in these videos. That's the cameras, The sails, this is a 0.7 ACX 6.5. It's a no-cam slalom sail, linked in the description. But most importantly, find that little subscribe button down at the bottom. Whack the subscribe, whack the little bell so you get notifications when I'm posting. There's loads more videos already on the channel and plenty more coming out this summer and of course 2025. I'll be back in Vas doing lots more face-to-face coaching, helping people out on the water out here in Vas. So if you are coming this way, give me a shout. Or if you're not, why not? You should be. Give me a shout as well and we can help hook up a nice windsurfing holiday with you here in Vas. Look into the surf hotel for equipment and a nice place to stay. Message me about group coaching or private coaching, one-to-one sessions, whatever you think might work for you and your family. If you can't make it out to Vas, don't panic. I do a lot of online coaching too. So you can drop me a message and we can do a little bit of a session online, chatting through whatever skills and techniques it might be that you're working on. Thanks as always for joining me here in Vas. I will see you back on the channel, or hopefully out here on the water very, very soon.